if looks could kill. Thanos had destroyed the gauntlet of finitude and absorbed its power. The resulting transformation was unpleasant. Talia and the fleeing evil got the hell out of there.
The power flows through my veins. The dark power fills me.
Thanos had fully unleashed the gauntlet's power, transforming into a giant monster that was definitely not green for trademark reasons. High energy light shot from his eyes, melting everything in its path.
Ah, the goddess of light has blessed me. The cleansing light of my eyes will burn all evil from the face of the earth.
How many times I killed the goddess? She can't bless anyone anymore.
And even under the earth you are not safe, you despicable creatures.
Thanos' laser eyes carved a hole in the ground that stretched down into the depths of the dungeon. If these lasers were to hit the dungeon heart, it would be the end of the absolute evil. Meanwhile, in the underground, Talia had other things she considered important.
Yeah, I know. You're gonna make some hackneyed crack about women and mirrors now, you miserable chauvinist. The fact is, that thing gives me a brilliant.
The laser eyes were leaving a trail of devastation through the dungeon. But in the middle of their path, by pure chance, of course, stood Talia's mirror.
Ah! What devilry! Talia, you vile thing! You are truly the most evil spawn that ever existed! Just wait until my eyes have recovered. Then my cleansing gaze will burn you to ashes!
That Thanos is such a miserable jerk. He doesn't even notice when he puts himself out of action. I mean, that was my ingenious plan all along, of course. Unfortunately, my mirror also broke in the process. Where am I going to get a new one now?
Talia and the Absolute Evil had nothing to counter Thanos' gigantic laser eyes at the moment. Both agreed that a strategic withdrawal from these lands was the wisest choice for the time being.
So, well, if that's what the narrator says, then that's probably what happened, right? But fine, for now it probably really makes sense to get the hell out of Dodge. Forward, creatures! Line up in rows of 2. Hold the creature next to you by the hand, and then run away in panic!
While Talia gazed sadly at the remains of the mirror, the Council of Little Snots suddenly spoke up out of nowhere. It just so happened that they had just bought a huge stock of leftover mirrors, but since they all wore robes where you could barely make out their faces, they didn't have any use for them. However, the Council of Little Snots was planning a huge feast called Thanks Gobbler. In exchange for some of those delicious birds, the council was more than willing to provide one of its mirrors.
Can't they just send us the mirror anyway? Oh, but fine. Forwards! Move it! Feed the gobblers! Raise them! Give them food spiked with hormones and medicine! Ha 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 ha! Wait, why am I even laughing?
payday. Your little snots have dug up a spider. Your little snots have dug into a spider nest. A few of Tanos's more fanatical followers were not frightened by their leader's monstrosity, but rather encouraged. They gleefully rushed into the dungeon to attack it.
There are enemies in your dungeon.
You've dug into a spider room.
My eyesight will soon return, Talia. Then it will be time to look deep into my eyes.
Payday! The Council of Little Snots was more than pleased with the many delicious gobblers the farm-owning evil had sent them. Grateful for its delivery, the Council of Little Snots sent the reflectionless evil a shiny new mirror.
Splendid! This will help us stop Thanos. At least once.
Your little snots have dug into a spider nest. Your little snots have dug up a spider. A new area of the dungeon has been discovered.
My vision has cleared again. Time for some purifying fire. Look me in the eyes!
Thanos' eyes had calmed down again, and once more lasers shot out, burning through the underground. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon.
Talia, I would regret giving two of my children on the same day. I will give you one final chance to return to the light. Actually, we're not so different, you and I.
Are you already starting to throw out classic villain cliches? There's only room for one bad guy here, and that's me! And I'm having a lot of fun with it, too!
So you choose the path of death! My eyes! Talia, you vile creature! You dare to oppose the light! Good will always win!
Although the mirror had once again stopped Tanos, it again broke under the strain.
Oops. Now that's a little suboptimal. Does this mean I have to rely on that Council of Little Snots advice again?
The Council of Little Snots had had enough of snow castles melting on them. Now instead, a fort was to be built from toolboxes that would hold up well. In exchange for some of those toolboxes, the Council of Little Snots would be only too happy to part with one of its mirrors. Enemies have entered the dungeon. payday.
I may be momentarily blinded, but I have my eye drops here somewhere, and then we'll have a little talk, Talia.
The cruel evil's army reached a destroyed bridge, once known as the Bridge of Death, before countless swallows of unknown origin landed on it. Perhaps the nearby hero camp held an alternative way to cross the gorge. The invading evil's armies had captured a city belonging to Tanos' fanatical followers. A mysterious portal lay within. The Council of Little Snot's toolbox fort was starting to take shape. A courier with a mirror was gratefully sent on their way. Another mirror from the Council of Little Snots was delivered to the dungeon. Enemies have entered the dungeon. You have unearthed a new area in the dungeon. Ding dong! It's payday! Manivores have been discovered. Telos' gaze was no longer clouded. Lasers shot out of his eyes and burned their way through the dungeon. The dungeon-digging evil had discovered an artifact. Manivores have appeared in your dungeon. The bonus-grabbing evil had stored an artifact in order to unleash its powers.
My eyes!
The Council of Little Snots felt not only mystical, but also magical. However, insomuch as the council members were as magical as moldy bread, they wished for some mana in exchange for a mirror. The happily sending its creatures through weird portals evil had successfully used a teleportation portal and thus managed to lead its creatures across the gorge. Payday! The resource-generating evil sent a shipment off to the Council of Little Snots. The Council of Little Snots looked happy and magical as balls of mana were tossed around like volleyballs. Another mirror from the Council of Little Snots was delivered to the glamorous evil's dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon.
Talia, you will have to account for your actions. Once I have purified you, then you can face the goddess herself. and ask for forgiveness. I can no longer forgive you.
Oh, the things you worry about, you crazy old man. I'm just picking out the right spear for your friggin' head. Maybe this one.
Your enemies are in the dungeon. Payday. Your army has just decreased in size due to deaths.
I'm back.
Tanos's eyes had cleared, and again they burned through the underground. Your little snots have dug into a spider nest. Your little snots have dug up a spider. Your little snots have dug into a spider nest. Your little snots have dug up a spider. Tanos's laser eyes hit a room in the dungeon and began to vaporize it.
Freezer! I have been blinded! Fire scum! How dare you resist?
The Council of Little Snots was known for its ascetic and philosophical lifestyle. It was now pursuing the question of whether money really did not stink. A few gold coins would certainly be helpful in this regard. In return, they could part with one of their mirrors. The resource-gathering evil sent a partial shipment on its way to the Council of Little Snots. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon. The resource-gathering evil sent a partial shipment off to the Council of Little Snots.
It's payday.
The Council of Little Snots was extremely grateful for all the gold. Not only would this allow philosophical questions to be clarified, but also secret bank accounts to be filled. The Council of Little Snots sent the glittering evil another mirror. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
My eyes are getting used to this darkness. I can sense the enemy in my surroundings. I'm going to... Out! Ah! I stumped my foot, damn it!
The conquering evil had destroyed a second base full of Tanis's fanatics. Its troops were able to use the portal there to cross the gorge again. Your little snots have dug up a spider. Your little snots have dug into a spider nest.
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
The dungeon heart is being attacked.
My eyesight! I need my eyes again so that I can burn the heretics. Ah!
Tenos's gaze was no longer clouded. Lasers shot out of his eyes and burned their way through the dungeon. A new area has been unearthed in the dungeon.
It's payday.
My eyes!
The Council of Little Snots was preparing for the so-called Feast of the Round Bellies. The only thing still missing were a few gobblers for the celebration. A mirror beckoned in return. The Feast of Round Bellies could now finally be celebrated, thanks to the generous donation of gobblers. Another mirror from the Council of Little Snots was delivered to the dungeon. Enemies have entered the dungeon. Your gold vein is nearly exhausted. Your little snots have completely mined out a gold vein. One of your creatures has bit the dust.
Ah! My eyes! Tell you, you despicable wretch! I'm going to cut off each and every limb of your body, one by one, once I can use my laser eyes again!
Talia and the Absolute Evil had finally reached the evacuation point for their tactical retreat.
Phew, that was really something. We urgently need a way to stop Tanos again. I still have that sharp-pointed spear, just pining for Tanos's head.
To be able to stop Tanos again, it would probably be necessary to reassemble the Gauntlet of Finitude. However, the stones that filled the gauntlet were scattered in all directions. It would take some time to round them all up.
Of course. Nothing in this stupid dungeon series is ever easy. Any sensible person would think to themselves, boom, let's just beat the crap out of him and that's it. But no, I have to go through the countryside and collect some stupid stones. Okay, fine. Let's get this over with so I can get back to the point where I put Tanos's head on a spear.